Shalom, Yasha'Allah. First and foremost, we get all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Kodash, the bottom to our apostles, elders, a great millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that's pushes the great gospel of sincerity and truth. This your brother Tazakai, Yahweh from the great millstone to the Annapolis camp, coming at you another lesson through the spirit of power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and Lord will be edified. I got an article here from The Guardian, theguardian.com. And it reads, Turkey and Syria earthquake. Death toll passes 11,000 as anger grows over official report. Latest updates, right? So initially when the first came to pass, like yesterday or so, or a couple of days ago, it was only like 100 people who had died. Then the number climbed up to like 1,200. Then it climbed up to like 3,000. Now we sitting over here over 11,000. And also seeing another article somewhere where it said that the death toll can definitely surpass 20,000. So this is pretty much an update. I normally like to, wait out things and get the official report, but hey, at the end of the day, it's ultimately part of the prophecies anyway. So like I said, that number is definitely steadily growing. So just pretty much want to put something on wax. But it says it say the number of people killed in Turkey and Syria expected to keep rising as anger grows in Turkey over slow response from authorities. Because it's a lot of destruction, like it's a lot of rubble, because they find a lot of people under rubble and stuff like that. You got investigative searches and stuff like that, search teams, whatever, and they just keep finding more and more bodies. It says Turkey and Syria earthquakes. Well, we know on day 3, so this would be considered day 3. Let's see. It says, have you been affected by the earthquakes in Turkey? Well, those are just bullet points. Now, this article came out today, February 8th, Wednesday, February 8th, 2023. The hopeful year that all the prophecies come to pass. And, hey, as we know, these earthquakes, hey, those are part of those end-time prophecies, right, that Lord will get, later after on this reading. So I will say that this is a little lengthy, so, like, bear with me, but it's just has a lot of information because it's steadily being updated. So, just bear with me. So it reads, Associated Press has spoken to a former journalist, Ozel Pikal, in the Turkish city of Malatya. He told AP bodies were placed side by side. Bodies were placed side by side on the ground, covered in blankets, while rescuers waited for funeral vehicles to pick them up. Pikal, who took part in the rescue effort, said he believes at least some of the victims may have frozen to death as temperatures dipped to -6 degrees, pretty much 21 degrees Fahrenheit. Today isn't a pleasant day because as of today, there is no hope left in Malatya, Bakal told reporters by telephone. No one is coming out alive from the rubble. Bakal said a hotel building collapsed in the city and more than 100 people may be trapped. Right, so that could add to the toll. It says there was a shortage of rescuers in the area he was in, and the cold hampered rescue efforts by volunteers and government teams, he said. Road closures and damage in the region have also impeded mobility and access. Our hands cannot pick up anything because of the cold, said McCall. It says the summary of the day so far, it is 3 p.m. in Ankara. So I guess that may be... Okay, so right now it's 7, of course, 7 o'clock, 7:26 Eastern time. This was put out 7:01 Eastern time, so like 20 minutes ago. So I guess it's 3 p.m. in Ankara and Damascus, which would be, those are cities in Ankara in Turkey, Damascus in Syria. It says this is the latest situation following Monday's devastating earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. The combined death toll from Monday's earthquakes, which struck Syria and Turkey, has now reached 11,416 as rescue efforts continue across the region, despite being hampered by cold weather conditions. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan announced that the death toll from Monday's quake has reached 8,754 in Turkey. Visiting Kahramanmaraş, which was at the epicenter of the quake, he said, on the first day we experienced some issues, but then on the second day and today the situation is under control. Erdogan promised the government aims to build housing within 1 year for those left without a home in the 10 provinces affected. The death toll in Syria has risen to 2,662, according to the reports from AFP. Syria's government has received help from a host of Arab countries, including Egypt and Iraq, as well as from its key ally, Russia. which has sent rescue teams and deployed forces already in Syria to join relief work, including in Aleppo. Syria has activated the EU protection mechanism 2 days after the earthquake to request further assistance from the 27 country bloc and the eight other nation states that are part of the program. The European Union has already sent mobilized search and rescue teams to help Turkey, while the bloc's Copernicus satellite system has been activated to provide emergency mapping services. At least 19 member countries have offered assistance. Cold weather continues to be expected in the region, with minimum and maximum temperatures for what was that? Kahramanmaraş, today of -6 degrees Celsius, and 1 degree Celsius, and for the Gaziantep between -5 Celsius, 1 degree Celsius. You see the actual temperature of Fahrenheit in parentheses. It says Diyar Bakir is expected to have continued snowfall with temperatures climbing to 35 degrees Celsius, well, Fahrenheit at most. Right. It says a container blaze at Turkey's southern port of Iskenderun has been brought under control. Turkey's maritime authority said on Wednesday, following combined extinguishing efforts from land, sea, and air. The blaze started when containers were toppled during the quake. Pope Francis offered his prayers for the thousands of victims. So that's going to do something for you. For thousands of victims of the earthquake in Syria and Turkey, and called on the international community to continue to support rescue and recovery efforts. In the UK, the newly appointed chair of the ruling Conservative Party said the country will be ready to respond to any further requests from Turkey for support. Kenan Akbaram, a geologist at the University of Bengal, said that it's difficult to predict how long aftershocks might continue, adding that the 2020 earthquake in the eastern city of Elazig, or maybe, which registered at a magnitude of over 6, still has its own aftershock sequences, which his team of scientists have observed. 3 British nationals are missing after the earthquake. The UK's Foreign Secretary said on Tuesday, "We assess that the likelihood of the large-scale British casualties remain low," James Cleverly said. 4 Australians are unaccounted for following the quake. Australia's Foreign Affairs Department is providing consular assistance to the families of the nationals who were where the catastrophe struck, and to about 40 other Australians and their families who were also in the area. So say you have updates. Let's see this. Say rescue workers and residents erupted in cheers when the family was saved from the rubble of a demolished building in the Syrian village of Biznia. On Wednesday, a man, his son, and daughter were pulled out from beneath the rubble where they had been stuck for 2 days after the catastrophic earthquake. So this is, like I said, this is getting like live updates, every so often where they can report something. So I may shoot up to those when they post them. So it says, back right here, satellite images released by the Maxar Technologies give an idea of the scale of the challenge for emergency crews over the coming days. They show in vivid detail the breadth of the destruction and that has unfolded in towns, cities, and villages across the region. It says Reuters is carrying some more quotes from Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who spoke to the media while he on the visit to, I'm not going to keep saying that, but you see it earlier. On the first day, we experienced some issues, but then on the second day and today, the situation is under control. He said the government aims to build housing within 1 year for those left without a home in the 10 provinces affected, he added. We had some problems at airports and roads, but we are better today. We will be better tomorrow and later. We still have some issues with fuel, but we will overcome those too, Erdogan said after visiting tents set up by the Disaster and Emergency Management Authority. He also said citizens should only heed communication from authorities and ignore provocateurs. All right, so it says Faisal Ali has announced for The Guardian to a geologist based in the region affected by the quake. It is difficult to tell how long aftershocks will last after Monday's quake, says Kenan Akbayam, a geologist at the University of Bengal, whose city was badly affected by the event. But by employing aftershocks forecasts, he says a technique that relies on observations from prior earthquakes, it is possible to make rough predictions. In the past, powerful earthquakes have caused aftershocks for 2 or 3 years, says Akbar Ram, adding that the 2020 earthquake in the eastern city of Elazig, which registered a magnitude over 6, still has its own aftershock sequence, which his team of scientists have observed. Damn. It says, Akbayam says that the earthquake was not expected. We were expecting a rupture along the fault line in this area. He says, as the areas where the earthquake struck are what geologists refer to as a seismic gap. A seismic gap is an area in the active earthquake zone that has not witnessed the expected earthquakes. This part of the eastern Anatolian fault zone was ruptured in the 1500s, according to records, and most recently, some parts of the fault zone moved in 1822, says Akbar Ram. So there was a risk of possible movement, and we were aware of it. Akbar Bayram warns that there are other fault zones in Turkey which haven't experienced seismic activity for a long time, identified in the Aegean region, areas around the Marmara Sea, which includes the major city of Bursa and Istanbul, and the city of Bengal, where he is based. We in the scientific community are aware of these seismic gaps, but I cannot say that we are ready from an engineering perspective. So get caught up in that, pretty much through. Let's see, because I don't want to keep, repeating stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna read just a little more. Cause pretty much we getting the gist of it. Like, yeah, these are just updates. So let's see if they got anything. Yeah, they just updating. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Like I said, this definitely was a devastating earthquake. That like I said, over 11,000 have died, and they expect the numbers to climb. But again, this is part of the prophecies of Yahweh Shema Shai. Another interesting thing to take note is this could be a weapon being used against them, since we understand that Turkey is definitely at odds with like NATO and like EU and stuff like that, and how they've been siding with Russia and a lot of stuff. So they do, as a lot of people like to speak of, like those devices that they use and all this and that, and yeah, they could very be used, in pretty much as retaliation against Turkey in their standpoint, right? But at the end of the day, it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai anyway, whether that's the case or not, And, so I'm gonna read a little bit of this one, not too much of it, because it just ties into the prophecies together, uproars, earthquakes and stuff like that. So this is from Al Jazeera, and it reads, "Day of disruption in UK as up to 500,000 go on strike. Teachers, transport workers, and civil servants walk off their jobs to demand better pay." So right here it says an estimated 300,000 of the 500,000 striking workers in UK on February 1st are teachers. So it says thousands of schools in the UK, and they came out February 1st, 2023, the hopeful year that all the prophecies come to pass. Thousands of schools in the UK have closed some or all of their classrooms. Train services have been paralyzed, and delays are expected at airports in what is shaping up to be the biggest day of the industrial action Britain has seen in more than a decade. Unions are stepping up pressure on the government to demand better pay during the cost of living crisis that is wreaking havoc on the personal finances of most Britons. The Trades Union Congress, a federation of unions, estimated that up to 500,000 workers, including teachers and university staff, and that's not a light number, 500,000, right? That's a lot of people. Like they say, including teachers, university staff, civil servants, border officials, and train and bus drivers walked off their jobs across the country on Wednesday. More action by workers, including nurses and ambulance staff, is planned for the coming days and weeks. So they expecting more, strikes and people walking off the job. So at the heart of the strikes is a bitter dispute over pay and working conditions that is dragging on between unions and the government. Wednesday's strike marked an escalation. The last time the country saw mass walkouts on this scale was in 2011, when well over 1 million public sector workers staged a one-day strike and disputes over pensions. I guess we can start. Here we do right here. It's a union bosses says that despite some pay rises, such as a 5% offer, the government proposed to teachers' wages in the public sector have failed to keep pace with soaring inflation. Right, that's why a lot of people are upset. Inflation, prices are going up, but see, the prices is going up, and the value of their money is going down. That's why they expect more pay. But if they get more pay, then that means what? The prices are gonna go up. So you're gonna be in a steady cycle of being upset and protesting and walking off your job, so to speak. It says effectively meaning workers have been taking a pay cut. The Trades Union Congress said Wednesday that the average public sector worker is £200 or $250 a month worse off compared with the 2010 once inflation had been taken into account. Skyrocketing food and energy costs have caused inflation in the UK to soar to 10.5%, the highest rate in 40 years. While some economists expect price rises to slow down this year, Britain's economic outlook remains grim. Right? It says on Tuesday, the International Monetary Fund said Britain will be the only major economy to contract this year, performing worse even as sanction hit Russia. Right? So the National Education Union said about 20,003 schools will be affected by Wednesday's strike, with an estimated 85% fully or partially closed. So, like I said, these are just going into those uproars of the people. You know what I'm saying? The instability. People are upset. People in the world are upset, right? And you got, and then you, you Babylonians is over here in America. Y'all just be, really it's the Lord who got you in the trick bag. Because you just think like, hey, everything gonna be all right. You got people that got the attitude. Well, it happens. Things happen, and that's just life. But it'll get better if you keep your mind right, and if you believe in Christ and all this and that. Like, nah, man. You like I said, what the Lord about to smack you out in the face, and with just with unprecedented sorrows and then downfalls and shortcomings and so forth and so on. That's gonna come to this place, right? Because like I said, a lot of stuff normally do happen across the globe, so to speak. But then but what you don't know is where you live at is the whore, is the main country, the main place is going to receive the brunt, the worst of all these things that's going to come to pass, with Jacob's trouble and all these prophecies. So while you sit there and, and like I said, don't get me wrong, there's, people in the truth who, you may watch this and watch that, but you don't overindulge. Like I guarantee you, millions of people are sitting there watching. And like I said, it's a balance with it. You got brothers who like sports. I like sports. Right, but I didn't give a damn about watching the basketball game today. Just watch some LeBron break, the scoring record, whatever. I mean, a good feat for him, good accomplishment for him. But I wasn't gonna set my whole schedule. I'm gonna watch this. No, they're gonna play the highlights or whatever, whatever the case may be. But you got people who give their life just to that. Now what? What niggas doing? As soon as that happened, what? Now they doing the debates and who's the GOAT and who's the greatest, who this and that. Nobody care about that. Right, when this place get brought down to the dust and ashes, who gonna give a damn about who won this and who was that, or who got this trophy, who got that? Ain't nobody gonna care about that. But like I said, the important thing that's going on is what's gonna affect you and your life in the long run that you think won't come to pass and affect you, right? Again, like I said, like these people, the Lord just got you all in trick bags, got you confused, got you blinded by these bread and circuses. Don't let me catch you as a thief in the night and leave you, and then you be caught out there and left to dry, so to speak. But, going into these scriptures, this is 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, right? And how we measure the time diligently, right? You got to do it diligently. You got to give forth an effort. And you measure the times, right? Like I said, by what? You seeing what's going on in the world, and you tie it to what? You measure it by what? What the scriptures say. Right, because the second part say what? And when thou seest part of the signs pass, where do you find the signs passing? Right, what do you find out what a sign is? It is by the Bible, which goes to what? The prophecies. Those are the signs. So when you see a prophecy pass, which I have told you before, right, because that's how you measure it. What's going on in the world tied to the scriptures again. Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest are being to visit the world which he made. So this is the Lord. When these prophecies come to pass, this is what? Yahweh Shemashai visiting this place which he have made. Right? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's all about the prophecies. It's all about Yahweh Shemashai. It's all about the elect. Right? But ultimately, what? Prophecy is what's going to come to pass. That's what we live in day by day for those to come to pass. So what? So it can be delivered out of this place if we be of the elect. Lord willing, we are. Verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, right? That's what happened in Syria and Turkey. Earthquakes like that. I got an earthquake earthquake app. They happening everywhere. They happen on all four hemispheres, so to speak. You got, like I said, earthquakes in Chile, Peru. You got them in Mexico, Alaska, Oregon, California. You got some in Turkey, Indonesia, China, Russia. You know what I'm saying? They everywhere, right? You can go check it out. Look, check it out for yourselves, right? New Zealand, them areas by Australia, stuff like that, right? And uproars of the people in the world. Now, uproars going to what? When they protesting and going on strikes and stuff like that, or like in Peru down there, they really people dying, violent civil unrest, stuff like that. These are part of the vote, the visitations of Yahweh Shema Shai, indicating that we are in the end. Yeah, but one may say, well, these always been happening. There's all this and that, but go. You know how Esau like to they like to take up statistics. Go look at the statistics of uproars and civil disorders and earthquakes and volcanoes and weather, disruptions and wars, and look at how the value of it has increased in these latter times versus in previous times that you always lean on to talk about. It been happening. Go look at the value of it now. Right? It's innumerable. But it's like I said, a lot of them. I'll just say that, not numerable. They could count them. But then again, like I said, it's a lot ultimately. But like I said, just the intensity, that's what I mean. So the intensity of them has, increased. It says, verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days of before thee, even from the beginning. Because like he said in Isaiah 46, verse 9 and 10, ultimately said what? He declared the end of the world before the beginning. So that means everything that's slated to happen, it was already drawn up. It was already written out in the script, so to speak. Right, because this is Yahweh Shema Shai's movie. We just the actors, so everything was already scripted to happen. You can't offset prophecy. You can throw a monkey wrench here. You can't call on a day off. No, everything gonna happen as it was set up to happen through the Spirit in the heavens before it happened. That was brought down here in the physical. Right, and say for like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end. Right, so this rulership, this current eon of Esau Edom, it had this beginning. And it also had this end, just like the previous empires as well. And the end is manifest. It is evident that we are in the end time. We are in the end. Then you got people even saying that, like, well, we are in those last days. We're in the end days. But they don't understand the magnitude of the last days that they speak of. They don't understand that it's going to get horrible. It's going to get unbearable. It's going to be a point in time where you ain't going to want to be alive. It's going to be so bad. But we understand that those are the hopeful elect. Man, they're going to be all right. They're gonna be good. Yeah, they're gonna be in it. They're gonna see things and stuff like that. But the Lord gonna have a hedge of protection upon them to where they ain't gotta worry about nothing. Again, like I said, Lord, will we be of that number, right? Verse 6, even so the times also the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs, and all these powerful and wondrous works and endings and effects and signs is going to what these prophecies that he said that he said was gonna come to pass, that he said was gonna happen, right? And that's what we waiting on. And we see stuff like that. Well, it's a faith booster, right? I give all praise to Yahweh Shema Shai, right? Because why? Because he making good on his word, which we know he is. But when you actually see it, like I said, then y'all shall well understand. Now when you actually see it, now you will understand because you read it and it was taught to you, and you're analyzing yourself, and you put in your mind like, okay, you believe it through the Spirit. But then when you actually see it, hey, that's just damn, the faith booster shoots up significantly. Can we understand that these things happen to ultimately for what? Leading to our deliverance. Right? So speaking like sin again of visitations, Isaiah 29:6, thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shema Shai. Right? People say, we can't wait for the Lord to come back. The Lord come back is not in the fashion that you think he's coming back in. Especially when it comes to talk about the day of the Lord, the day when they come back, it say that's a day of darkness and not light. You know what I'm saying? But his visitation that he's gonna send right now to the rest of the world, ultimately not to his elect, but what he's sending terror, destruction, lamentations, mournings, and woe. So when he visit, trust, believe, in this time period, and then you down here on his right hand side, you don't want to receive a visitation from Yahweh Shema Shai. He visited the people in Syria and Turkey, and look what happened, right? Where was Allah and all them? And, where was they to stop the destruction from Yahweh Shema Shai? Oh, they don't exist. He don't exist. These other guys don't exist. Right? Where was your God to fight off our God that came to visit you? Right? But like I said, y'all be talking about this and that. Hey, this how the Lord come visit you. Because majority of the world is ran in wickedness and iniquity, and a lot of people commit iniquity. and wickedness. And this is what your payment is. So it says, the Lord of hosts with thunder, thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake. Let's see, earthquakes a visitation. Rather, man use a seismograph machine, whatever the case may be, whether they trigger this or whatever the hell the case may be, it's still through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, because he created all spirits and he put in all spirits what they ought to do. Right? And great noise with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. So again, this is a visitation from Yahweh Shemel Shai. Right? And we know, unless we get like maybe two more scriptures. Turn that red letter on. This is the words of our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Right? It says what? Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Right? As we see, nations against each other, speed against each other. Right? Having these war games, nations getting saddled up, getting ready for war. Nations making alliances being broken, so forth and so on. Kingdom against kingdom. Yeah, this is what's going on right now. Right? People are in opposition. Even nations who are the same people, so to speak, like the beast, they at odds with each other. Right? Within their own kingdom, within their own nation. Right? But it says that there shall be famines and pestilences. Right? These are currently going on as well. And what? Earthquakes in diverse places. These are the things that's going on right now pertaining to the prophecies. Even Yahweh Shai HaMashiach spoke with his own words. It say what? All these are the beginning of sorrows. And that's the time period we in. We in the beginning of sorrows, the beginning of horrible and bad times. That's what I'm going to get in this last precept. This is 2nd Esdras. Let's go to the point. Chapter 16, verse 18. It says, what? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. And we just can take this situation right now with the earthquake. Like I said, ain't they sorrow over there? Ain't they having great mournings? Just like the rest of the world. Ain't people in sorrow and in great mournings? Right? Like I said, the mirth of the land has ceased. Right? It's forced. I call it forced mirth. You force yourself to smile and be happy and all this and that. But mainly how people have a good time and stuff like that as well. They get drugged up and get drunk and just, they don't care. But then when they come down from that, what reality sets in and they in anguish. They in despair, distress. Right? They say what? The beginning of famine and what? It's a point I want to bring out. And great death. That was a great number of people that's died over there. Like I said, you see 11,000 people just dead in front of you. That's a lot of damn people. Even 100 people, that's a lot of people. But guess what? The numbers is going to continue to climb. Again, this is about visitation from Yahweh Shemel Shai to punish them over there. Right? So this should be a warning to those who maybe lasted days ago or who may be on the fence or whatever when it comes to this truth. Man, look, man, you could be next. So it's best for you to get your mind right and ultimately to believe wholeheartedly in Yahweh Shemel Shai and stop playing before he puts you to death. So again, to be in the famine and great death. We're getting the wars, as we spoke of earlier. These nations having war games, selling weapons, building up their defense weapons, stuff like that, right? And actually, this actual war is going on right now as far as proxy wars, Russia, Ukraine, all that. Countries talking about, the situation with Iran and Israel. Speaking of what, they may be at war in the summer. You know what I'm saying? It's the beginning of these things, right? And the power shall stand in fear, right? From the elites on down. Hey, the people in the power structure, the lesser luminaries, they stand in the fear. Ultimately, the lesser luminaries stand in fear because they lose control, they lose the grip, what's going on, what's happening. But then the elites, they in fear because they know that what? We getting closer and closer to them losing their rulership for being taken from them from Yahweh Shemel Shai. Right? Say the beginning of evils, right? The beginning of bad times. And that's what the Lord is bringing. Bad times. Ain't no peaceful times. Ain't no happy times. Ain't none of that. The peaceful times is going to come when what? When our kingdom comes, the restoration of Israel, that's when peace will be rendered out in the earth. But at this point in time right now, man, he's sending straight evil. Destruction coming, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none, according to what? Ezekiel 7:25. It say what? What shall I do when these evils shall come? And ultimately what you shall do is what you should be doing right now is what? Seeking the Lord while he may be found and calling upon him while he is near. Because if you don't have the Lord in these times, even if you don't have him right now, but you don't have him, especially when you have him in the times to come, man, you through. You finished. You will be put to death. You will face a heavy, heavy adversity. That's none like any other. So it's best for you to get the mind right. Actually, ultimately, it's up to the Lord to put the Spirit on you to do so. But just speaking as a man, it's best for you to get your mind right and to listen to his man. Don't despise his man, because if you despise them, you despise Yahweh Shai. You despise Yahweh who sent us all. You get what I'm saying? Through the Spirit. So it's best that you take heed and listen be immersed, be grounded in this faith, within this truth, and then Lord willing, we'll be elect, and the Lord have that hedge of protections upon us via the angels. But again, like you said, man, the beginning of great death, and that's what's coming in a great fashion, as we can see right now. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to sincere Akim Wakim out there listening. Only give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, the honor to our apostles and elders at Great Millstone, who rule well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that switches great gospel and sincerity and truth. Shalom, Yasha Allah, Abide, Babal.